It took me years to realize that I was literally shrinking my balls, metaphorically and physically, with every single meal I was eating. But I'm here to save you from experiencing the same pain that I did, because the reason why your life is shit, why you don't have girls, why you have no confidence, why you have no energy, why you have a shit body, is not because of bad luck or genetics. It's simply because you're following the castration diet. Now, if you don't know what castration means, it is literally when they cut off animals' nuts, when they remove the balls, make them inactive, kill them, stop the animal from producing the vital male hormones. And chances are that is exactly what you are doing to yourself without even realizing it. And it's what I was doing to myself as well. So what actually is a castration diet? It is the standard way of eating that is assumed to be healthy, and that includes things with lots of greens, lots of vegetables, lots of low fat lean cuts of meat, and limiting your fat intake, limiting your cholesterol intake, limiting your animal product intake, limiting your dairy, and instead focusing on eating lots of grains, lots of oats, pretty much all this shit that is genetically modified, sprayed with chemicals, and if you put two and two together, could actually be the reason at why so many young guys are infertile, so many young guys have no energy, so many young guys look and feel like shit, just like you do and just like I did myself. Well, I'm here to change that for you. I remember my exact diet, my exact eating schedule. I used to have KFC on Thursday night, Chinese food on Friday night, or fish and chips on Friday night, more takeaway on Saturday, Sunday night was pizza night, and throughout the week we'd still eat pretty healthy. We'd have some meat, some vegetables, and what I thought were health foods. However, when looking back on my life, it was fucking shit. I was consuming porn, I was addicted to bad habits, I couldn't stop playing video games, I had little friends, I had a shit body, everything was bad in my life, and I attribute it to diet because when I changed it, everything changed. So you probably heard the saying that how you do one thing is how you do another, and this is exactly true. A bad diet, a castration diet, a diet that limits you of your male potential, reduces your testosterone, makes you into more of a little bitch and less of a real primal animal, a real man, is going to be the reason at why you're falling into bad habits and being a fucking loser. Even the fitness advice, the fitness diet advice on the internet was castrating me as well, was slowing my gains, was making me feel like shit. And that's why so many guys in the gym community, so many guys in the fitness space, and so many guys in general look and feel like shit, simply because they're castrating themselves. They're literally cutting off, they're fucking getting scissors and cutting off their own balls by eating a certain way. The diet we need to be following is one that restores us of our male vitality, of our male energy, of our male life force, which is testosterone, and it needs to stop us from literally shrinking our nuts. And the way we're going to do this is by following a diet that actually has foods that existed like 100 years ago. If you look back at a 22-year-old back 100 years ago, chances are he looks way more masculine, way more mature, and is just generally stronger. And as well, if you look at like 16-year-olds nowadays, if you have like a high school near you, or maybe you have a sibling, if you look at their grade, if you look at their year, or maybe you're in high school yourself, chances are all the guys are kind of looking like bitches. They're kind of looking like little soft pussies. And it's because of the castration diet that is just mainstream, and it's affecting every single young guy, and affected me as well. To reverse this castration, to reverse this nut shrinking effect, we need to increase our testosterone. And to do this, we need to increase the amount of saturated animal fats we're consuming, because it's them that are responsible for our hormone production as young guys. We also need to be focusing on cholesterol intake, because this serves as a precursor to creating testosterone. You probably did chemistry, biology, all that shit in school. You understand that there are components inside of cells, inside of molecules, that go into making other ones. Cholesterol is one of the key things that is required to actually synthesize testosterone and actually get our nuts working again. The exact foods you need to be consuming are simple. It is meat, specifically more red meat with high amounts of saturated animal fats. Secondly, eggs, preferably pasture-raised, free-range, organic. Next, for your carb sources, you're going to be consuming some fruit, maybe some rice, and some potatoes. And then you can also consume some dairy. There's a whole argument about raw dairy or pasteurized dairy. Doesn't matter too much in my opinion. I still drink normal milk, I drink raw milk, I eat yogurt. It just comes down to what suits better for you. However, the main basis of this diet and this idea is consume more red meat and more eggs, because they are going to make you feel the most vital. They're going to be the best for you. By doing this is going to help us to hit our protein intake, especially if you're a young guy going to the gym, which you should be. It's going to help maintain a good calorie base. It's going to increase our hormones, our testosterone, and it's going to provide us with so many vitamins and minerals, which is actually not happening when you follow a bullshit diet of eating chicken and rice and spinach and fucking lentils and just grains and oats and bullshit, like what the fitness advice tells you to do. You don't sit there and imagine someone eating lettuce and spinach to be strong, like all these fucking fitness influencers are telling you to do on the internet. No, you don't do that. You would picture a strong man eating a fucking big steak, probably not even cooked, right? Probably not even cooked. You would picture that. So that's what we need to be aiming for, because our brain already knows what the fuck we need to be eating. It's just the modern media, our parents even, that are teaching us the wrong thing, because they're all just simply misinformed. And most of the fitness guys in the gym space anyway that are telling you to eat chicken, rice, lettuce, spinach, lentils, and fucking oats, they're injecting hormones into their ass cheeks anyway. So it doesn't matter what they eat, they're still going to be maintaining hormone levels. They could go and get drunk for a whole week straight and sleep out on the fucking street, and they would still have high testosterone levels. They would still feel vital and still feel good. But for you and I, natural guys who are trying to do it the original, authentic way, well, it doesn't work like that. So we need to be using our diet as the main key, the main strategy to optimize our vitality as men. How do we actually go about implementing this diet? Because when I was trying to implement this diet, there were a lot of things I had to change. I basically had to restructure my whole entire eating process, my whole entire scheduling. My parents used to make my food. What do we actually do? How do we actually go about this? Now, thankfully for me, my parents weren't too strict, but there were some things that I had to consider, and it's basically just expecting your parents or whoever takes care of you to go against what you actually want to do, because they're taught the opposite. Our parents have been taught that things like animal fats are terrible for you. Things like cholesterol are going to give you a heart attack and make you drop dead if you have them. They've been taught that the things that actually make guys strong, the things that actually make men feel powerful and feel like fucking warriors, are actually bad for us, which is totally wrong. Because when I started eating this way, when I completely flipped the switch on my diet, went from eating absolute fucking goisler bullshit food to more of a primal warrior, hunter, angry fucking testosterone fueled man diet, well, what happened? I quit porn, I started fucking, I started getting more jacked, more shredded, more confident, more masculine. Everything in my life improved. So if you put two and two together, I'm pretty sure there's a fucking clear cause and effect there. It's not correlation. It is cause and effect, because I was actually boosting my testosterone. I was actually boosting my male signals of health, which so many guys are lacking in this day and age. Now, one thing that I did to implement a more healthy, vital, masculine diet inside of my life, especially when I was living at home, was simply to ask for small replacements. And I didn't make it too obvious or blatant. Carb intake, carb sources are going to be the easiest way that you can make small modifications to slowly become more healthy. One thing that I did is, I remember we used to always in our family have the bags of chips that you cook in the oven, you know, the pre-fried ones where they're cooked in like vegetable oil and a bunch of other bullshit ingredients. We used to have those. But one day I suggested, I said, hey mum, instead of those, can we just switch to like normal potatoes and roast them in the oven? I quite like them better. I like the taste of those better. I think they're a little bit healthier. And, on a surface level, people that aren't too aware of the vegetable oil shit, all these different things, are going to probably just accept this because it's like, okay, yeah, maybe he just likes the texture better. But if you went from saying, no, mum, I don't want to have any more fucking chicken. All I want to do is eat 12 eggs per day and eat fucking ribeye steaks. Well, they're going to tell you to fuck off. So you can do this by yourself, by the way. If you actually live alone or if you're independent and buy your own food like I do, then you can do this. I would recommend just start eating fucking meat, eggs, and fruit. But if you're at home, you need to make the small changes. And another change you can make is simply just increasing your meat intake. Start eating more meat, because that is going to still provide you with a lot of animal fats and a lot of good proteins, which are going to help you boost your testosterone and boost your overall male vitality. And if you want a quick increase in your testicle size, one tip I would give you specifically when it comes to this diet and this way of eating is to start pumping down at least 6 eggs per day. I sometimes have upwards of 15. You can just spam them, especially spam them before going to bed. You're going to wake up the next day not only with the fucking hardest cock of your life, but also with more energy and more desire and more motivation. And that is exactly just a taste of what a high testosterone individual is like. That is what you need. It's my mission to save guys from a life of pain and being lonely and being unseen and being invisible. So if this helped you, then subscribe to the channel. Check the link in the description for my community. And with that being said, remember that progress is purpose. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.